morning, everybody. My talk is in English, and I speak about cloud forensics. Oh, why into the eye of the storm? Because cloud forensics now is like Twister. It's not a cloud. It's so difficult to make cloud forensics, but we try to do it. Who I am? I'm a computer engineer. I'm a member of a commission IT engineer in a country near Rome. I'm member of the Italian Information Security Association, and I'm also member of Information System Forensics Association of Italian chapter. I work with law enforcement sometimes, but also I'm a technical assessor at civil court and criminal court. I'm a partner of the company of Raul's company, Raul's Chiesa, a security broker. And I collaborate, and I'm in Cyberworld working group at the Ministry of Defense, Italian Ministry of Defense, and is the High Study for Defense Center of National Security Observatory. The agenda. We are talking about digital forensics to cloud. Where is the cloud forensics? 3 dimensions of cloud forensics: the organization, the technical and the legal, the new investigative methodologies, crimeware as a service. Why? Because we have now the dark cloud, anti-forensics in the cloud, and then the conclusion. What is digital forensics? Digital forensics is a science, and talk with us about obtain, preserve, analyze, and make a real and good documentation about digital evidence from electronic device, such as tablet, computer, hard disk, smartphone, iPods, and all of technical device. Why is important to obtain for law enforcement? For example, because to obtain the evidence is the first phase is from law enforcement. And law enforcement sometimes have a lot of problem to obtain evidence, because evidence now, digital evidence, are so small. Think about SD memory, the micro memory, or think about the USB device that are so strange. For example, in the picture you can see sushi, but it's USB, okay? And then we have a problem all around the world. How to obtain and preserve digital evidence. Why? Because digital evidence and the data are now so strong like gods. We cannot touch it. We can thinking about digital evidence like a crystal. If you just put and click or press a button on your keyboard, you can change the data inside, okay? Computer forensics phases: evidence collection acquisition, evidence preservation, evidence analysis, and at the end, the presentation. The identification, collection, acquisition, there are the first phases. Then the preservation, how to preserve the data. Sometimes for the not for law enforcement, this phases is okay. Why? Because law enforcement have to do the identification, the collection, and the preservation. We, such as a technical, if I collaborate with the law enforcement give me an hard disk or a smartphone, and I extract only the data and made analysis and the presentation. But if you have to make a forensics analysis with a company, for a company, you have to do all these phases. Analysis, the phase of analysis is important. Why? Because we have to extract only the data that is significant to the investigation. If someone told me, okay, extract everything, but what? Pictures, email, logs, what? Sometimes a lot of people, a lot of judges told us, extract everything, but it's not good. You have to put the exactly, and you have to say what you have to extract for the investigation. The evidence presentation is the final phases, and this is the most important. Why? Because the experts are capable and are be able to explain the job, and all the people that are not be able to understand the technical of computer forensics, they understand with the final phases and with the presentation. For example, lawyers, judges, and other people. It's a good practice to write down a document in which you will gain data and is extracted result, are analyzed and explained step by step. Sometimes the evidence presentation contains also video or a lot of pictures of the screenshot. For a cloud forensics, this phase about evidence presentation contains a lot of videos. This is another kind of innovative investigation from CSI. Why? Because the first one is was a block, and this one is like a circle, but the phases are the same: identification, collection, preservation, analysis, and then at the end presentation. But this is a new way and is a circle. The digital forensics, in digital forensics we have two different kinds of analysis. The phase of analysis is divided into data analysis and live analysis. Data analysis, when we do a data analysis. And how? Data analysis, we do it, for example, in our disk, or in a memory, in SD card, or in USB. Data analysis is analysis post-mortem. It's called also post-mortem analysis. And live analysis, we do it when we find a computer there is switch on, not switch off. When we have a computer switch on, we do a live analysis. Also for the smartphone. For the smartphone, we use a live analysis usual, and is also irrepeatable analysis. With the arrival of the cloud, all the scenarios are changing, and in the cloud we use sometimes only the live analysis, but it depends. We have to think about new tools, instruments, and methodology. And the evidence collection and acquisition phases all now is changing. Where is the cloud forensics? At the base we have network forensics, digital forensics, computer network, cloud computing. But how happen into digital forensics from the cloud perspective? Cloud forensics now is a goal, and it's so difficult to find the approach. we have to know to study a lot, but you have to improve the methodology, the same methodology that we used in the digital forensics and in the computer network forensics. Now we have to apply the same methodology, but with the mind view open. We speak about now the three dimensions in cloud forensics. We have legal dimension, organizational dimension, and technical dimension. Why? Because for a cloud organization and for customers and for users, cloud is good, but we have a lot of mistakes and horrible things that in cloud we can hide. In fact, cloud is the best way to do anti-forensics. Speaks about the technical dimension. The technical dimension of the cloud is about forensics data collection, elastic, static, and live forensics, evidence segregation, virtual environment investigation. Forensics data collection, I spoke before about the recording, and now the data collection is different with the cloud. Why? Because we have the same phases of the digital forensics, such as identification, collection, analysis, acquisition. But in cloud forensics, we have to do the recording. And the recording is a phases now, is an important point. Why? Because only one time you can make, for example, and you can extract a kind of data. It's a live analysis, and how the people see your work and your job, the work you do, only with the recording. The evidence segregation is about cloud computer resource groupment. Yes, because in the cloud we have a lot of resources. There are a group of resources. The virtual environment investigation. Virtual environment is about virtualization, and the cloud, within the cloud, we speak about all we speak about the virtualized environment, okay? Because we have all the machines that are virtualized. It's not easy to develop some tools and procedure and phase light and digital forensics because now it's changed. We have two different kinds of information and we have to extract both parts. One from client side, and other from Internet Service ISP or cloud organization side. But we know where is our data, where is in an island or in a desert or in a big data center in Alaska. We don't know. We don't know sometimes where is data. The organizational dimension, this is a suggestion for who? For all the customer and for all the users that he would like to buy some cloud service. Okay, I would like to buy some cloud service. Yes, but I would like to see how the cloud organization preserve my data and how is important and why. Because a cloud organization have to collaborate at first with the law enforcement to extract the data if somehow happen. Then a cloud, we can find this picture more expensive, this one. We have the cloud organization that speaks together, customer side and provider side. A cloud organization must have law advisor, IT professional, investigator. If they need, they have external assistance, but also a team of incident handlers. When incident happen, a team have to fix the problem in a few hours. Law enforcement, yes. Why? A cloud organization have to collaborate for the evidence collection, for the prosecution, and for confiscation, the data. Third parties, yes. For example, for audit compliance, but also with the university. The cloud organization now are all in development, and they have to make a lot of research, education, and training. The forensics investigation, as I told you before, in cloud environment are developing in two different sides, computer service provider and cloud customer one. The organization is composed by basic and must have parts which would allow a total efficiency when running a cloud forensics. Real collaboration, yes, we have to do a real collaboration between the cloud organization and all the professional figure that I told you before, such as investigator, IT professional, incident handlers. IT professional, why IT professional? Because there is a group who include systems, network, and security administrator, ethical hackers, cloud security architect, and technical support staff into a cloud organization. Investigator is not to have the part of a cloud organization, but also an external part of group of people that collaborate with the cloud organization and provide to help customer side and the cloud organization side to help in investigation. The incident handling, why? Incident handling is very important for cloud organization because, for example, for unauthorized access to data, data leaks, accident data loss, confidentiality violation, inappropriate use of data system, malware infection, internal and external attack, DDoS attacks. For all these, incident handling team should resolve all this problem. Legal advisor. Legal advisor is a strategic point of cloud organization. Wow. And why? Because the cloud, we have different country. We don't know where our data is. And we have a lot of customers and a lot of companies, a lot of users. But in each country, the law are different. And with the cloud, we used a multi-jurisdictional, okay? Each forensics activity into the cloud should not break punctual law in a specific jurisdiction. Internal legal consult must speak and have to speak and cooperate with law enforcement during the investigation. The external support. The external support is more important for the cloud organization because all the cloud organizations sometimes don't have skilled people. And they need skilled people for clarifying police, guideline, and contract. And in a cloud organization, all of these things have to be transparent for all the customer and for all the user and for also law enforcement. The legal dimension have to do the multi-tenant architecture. Why? Because it's the architecture in which we do find as many virtual boxes as for the customer. Because while each customer gets a separate data space and internal regulation and contract should be developed in order to assure forensics activity, to not break the laws of the country where the data are stored. It's so difficult sometimes, and this is as thin lines, because we don't know where the data sometimes are, and which country, the regulation of the country, we don't know. We have to also, but for the consultant side, we have to speak about legal. For this point, from an investigative level, information can be found, and can be found where? In mainframe, in PDA, in netbook, in smartphone. All of these devices use clouds. Server side, we have server side and client side, as I told you before. Yes, the server side, for example, the legislation in Italy now to executing dataset copy from the ISP. But ISP is not only internet service provider, it's also the provider from telecommunication service. And this article explains us how to have the electronic data. Fortunately, we have this article in Procedure Penal Code that explain from ISP how to have the data. Yes, okay. When the internet service provider and internet service telecommunication provider are in Italy, we have this kind of law. It's okay. But when you have, for example, seize the data, block the account, or to block the server side account, for example, when happen an incident, we can do this. We can block an cloud or an account cloud sometimes, because it depends of the law, where the data center is. Client side. From the client side, we have to make live analysis if we have credential. But when we are lucky, sometimes we have to find, and we found the credential of cloud, for example, Dropbox or iCloud or Amazon, sometimes with a dump of memory, with the live forensics, we find the credential and the configuration templates are saved in clear text or in the cache, or, for example, into local backup, and it's clear. The data transit. It's difficult to make a forense of this part. Why? Because sometimes when a crime is done, it's too late to run this kind of operation. And it's impossible to establish a network forensics because in this case, data transit is a network forensics. As I told you before, the cloud forensics is a mix of all of single part of forensics. Digital forensics, network forensics is a mix, a big mix. And for example, in this part, we have the data transit and it's a network forensics. But network forensics, when we capture the data in transit, sometimes it's too late. Remote acquisition, it depends, because sometimes we are not be able to make remote acquisition. For example, because why? About the integrity and the checksum, the hash of the file. For example, Amazon has got for all the files hash for those data uploaded into as a metadata. And then the methodology about, what about different ISP? As I told you before, network analysis, log analysis, make screenshot and reporting. Network analysis. The network analysis is about acquiring an acquisition in about the network traffic of the workstation when it's applicable. And in digital forense, also in digital forense, mobile forensics, you have to do the hash printing. Why? Because the hash printing must be done to acquire all the file. For example, when we didn't do, for one time law enforcement didn't do the hash printing for hard disk. And the hard disk, without an hash printing, is not valid, is not an evidence. Okay? The hash printing is the only way to say, in this moment, this hard disk have this situation. And then I copy and I do the forensics copy of the hard disk with the hash printing. Without the hash printing, the copy is not conformed, is not, for example, a forensic copy. Log analysis. Acquiring and examining log file from firewall, antivirus, application program, possible cache, and temporary director file from client. Screenshot, yes. Why I told you before, you have to recording, make screenshot, yes. Because it is the only way in a cloud forensic, because it's live analysis. It's not a dead analysis or post-mortem analysis. It's live analysis. We have to do all the picture, video, to show to other, to judge, and to other technical consultant. Desktop screenshot, possible screenshot of running programs. Reading out and commenting in live mode. Sometimes it should be like I smile when I think about, okay, I'm in front of my computer, I made a live forensics and I have to talk with my computer alone. Okay, I have to do this because it's important. Okay, I click this button, okay, I click this. or I write on keyboard this command. It's important to comment how you do on that computer or other kind or server, what you do in a specific moment. The reporting is the last phase, and all the single activity must be reported in the clearest way. And in the cloud forensics, now the reporting is with more details. Yes, but at least a final reporting is mandatory in order to supply the validity and allow to legal expert to fit it into the correct scenario. Okay, but we don't have the credential access, okay? This is a small cloud service provider. For example, Google, Gmail is in the cloud. Or Apple. Apple have a cloud specific environment. And Amazon. We spoke about Amazon yesterday with Marco, for example. iCloud and access credential. Dropbox and the cloud are the most famous at the moment. Dropbox can be accessed via web, okay? But if we don't have the credential and iCloud, we can share in the cloud a lot of files and folders that are stored in different area, in different kind of device, because it's laptop, it's also smartphone. Now I put on this slide at the end some links about Dropbox forensics, because with Dropbox there is specific kind of operation that you can do to extract the data from Dropbox. For example, also you can extract the deleted file. With iCloud, it contains and saves information about the user and contain all Apple's device, for example, iPhone, iPad, etc., etc. What is the importance of iCloud at the moment? It's important because when I made a backup of, for example, my iPhone, and I have the backup on my computer, and the backup is encrypted, okay? If I put the backup on iCloud, my friend discovered that the backup in iCloud is not encrypted. If you have the credential access to iCloud, is good in a forensic analysis, because sometimes we don't need, for example, the smartphone, because the smartphone was broke or other. But if the people have put on his backup on iCloud, I can discover that backup and without encryption. The dark cloud. Why cloud is so dark also? Why? Because it's a new battlefield of cybercrime, yes. CPU power to be used for distributed cracking. Target hacking attacks via advanced persistent threats, spear phishing, walling, or web application hacking, for example, Amazon, Google, and a lot of things. to do cybercrime with the cloud. Now you can find in this time DDoS attack. Yes, running on cloud can be extremely helpful, DDoS attack, because it's much easy to mitigate within your standard infrastructure. From an attacker point of view, the cloud infrastructure will represent a very powerful shotgun, yes. But we don't have only DDoS attacks. We have, and here you can find all the cloud DDoS victims. From the client committing a transaction on cloud-based service, computing cloud, back-end database unavailable to cloud-based server because was attacked, perimeter connection saturated, accessed to and control the cloud resource. Password cracking. We have the link, all the cloud need to make password cracking. Attackers already abused about cloud ESP resource in order to run password cracking software on cloud machine. And, for example, root has been able to crack a lot of password per second. And, for example, the mistranslation by a German newspaper of English-speaking reports on research Amazon. Based password cracking tool led to raid frozen bank account. And for example, in January 2011, researcher cracked Wi-Fi password with Amazon Cloud. Computers available for what? For 28 cents per minute, and the cost of the crack came just $1.68. And it's not too much. It's so cheap. This is another cloud cracker. And you can find here the link. And it's public. And with the cloud, cloud now is the best way to do anti-forensics. Why? Because we have to lose data control, no access to physical infrastructure, and to extract the data. The data is sometimes so difficult. We have to think other kind of tools to extract the data. And legal issues of multi-jurisdiction, multi-tenancy and multi-ownership. Lack of tool for large-scale distributed and virtualized system. We have no standard interface, no provider cooperation. Because I told you about the cloud organization should be do and should be have all that kind of internal group of people and then they cooperate together with external, for example, law enforcement and university also. But for the moment, the provider, no cooperation. The difficulties in producing forensically sound and admissible evidence in the court. We have this problem. And all of those techniques, tips, and methodology that may be able to slow down and stop the finding for digital evidence. Is anti-forensics why? Because all crime can be hidden for cloud. Cloud, in fact, is by default an anti-forensics methodology. And at least it gives us 2 times. Conclusion. The conclusion are about, and you have to think that each scenarios are different. Environment. For example, if you have a situation with Amazon, Amazon is different from Dropbox Cloud, is different from iCloud. Okay? We have different situation and different approach. But the only approach that you should have is the approach of the digital forense. Okay? And the investigator with law enforcement and the consultant now are called for new challenge and developed this new approach without becoming a last-minute digital forensics expert. Yes, because why I wrote this? Because, for example, in Italy, a lot of people, they don't do nothing about information technology. They do, okay, I'm a digital forensics expert, but no, because I made, for example, a lot of study. I study for a computer engineering degree, then a master in digital forensics, and every day now I improve myself. And the best background for a digital forenser should be computer study, and should be with open mind. This is interesting links. Some tools that are in development. For example, on magnetforensics.com you can find for Gmail, Yahoo, and for Apple, iCloud. You can find some interesting thing, but it's different. They make a division for law enforcement, for consultant, and for the organization. How to extract the data in clouds. Then other tools is about Dropbox. Other paper, interesting paper, are about drop forensics. Also this one about Dropbox. And these 2 about SANS, recovering digital evidence in a cloud computing paradigm, and exfiltration forensics in the age of cloud. Then, thank you for your attention. If you have some question, tell me.
Aló. ¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta para Selene? ¿Pueden hacerla en español? Allá al fondo. Me quedo lejos esta vez.
Is possible switch off the light?
Acá.
Gracias. ¿Cómo ha sido tu experiencia, o tienes experiencia presentando en corte evidencia que ha sido capturada desde la nube? Porque es muy diferente a la evidencia que es capturada desde un disco muerto, como lo llamaste tú. ¿Cómo ha sido tu experiencia, si nos puedes comentar algo?
From the cloud, my experience is about cloud, iCloud, Apple iCloud, Dropbox, and Amazon.
Sí. Y la recepción en tribunales, el juez, cuando le presenta esta evidencia, es bien recibida, muy cuestionada. ¿Cómo te ha tocado a ti la recepción de los jueces?
Oh, the reception of the judge, how he think and recept this data?
Efectivamente, ¿cómo recibió?
Okay, the situation in Italy now is more difficult. Why? Because a lot of judges don't know nothing about digital forensics, digital evidence, and they start to improve their skill at the moment. In fact, when I speak about the documentation, you have to document you have to do the great things of documentation and to make video and to do picture, because a lot of judges don't understand now. For example, also the computer forensics. Now he starts to enter in the opting of hash, but it's difficult. It's a challenge.
Gracias.
Okay?
¿Alguien tiene alguna otra pregunta?
In front.
Vaya a tener que ir a buscar todo el micrófono. Vamos a pasar por acá. De ahí.
Hola, Selene. ¿Existe alguna herramienta como Digital Evidence Forensics Toolkit para hacer Cloud Forensics?
Yes, I put on this presentation some tools, but these tools are every day in development, okay? Because, okay, for the computer forensics, we have no tool. For example, FTK, NCase, and this is closed. But also open source tool, okay? Cloud forensics is new. And they, for example, do the best for extract the data from the cloud. But it's not like, for example, the computer forensics in America was about 20 years, okay, ago. They start to make computer forensics. With cloud, we start now. And with the computer forensics, we have a lot of tools, and they are fixed. And we can use all the procedure. And, for example, to use NCase, you have to not to study, no. You have to click one button, and you extract the data, and NCase make the analysis for you. Okay, NCase, I would like to extract pictures, or Word document, or PDF, and NCase made all of this for you. But this is not the approach of digital forensics, because I usually use a lot of tools, not only one, because I would like to test also the open source tools, and sometimes you can only use the open source tool, not the FTK or NCase. It depends, because in the digital forensics world, the situation is different in each case. Each case is different. You could find two cases that are similar, but it's impossible. Because, okay, one extract some data, another extract only the PDF, another only the video, but it depends. And when we find an hard disk with the full disk encryption, this is another challenge. And, for example, with one tool, you can able to extract the password, but if you have another operating system, you shouldn't extract the data, okay? And it depends.
Y ya, la última pregunta acá, Fernando.
Hello. What is your experience with law enforcement in European Union?
In the European Union?
Yes.
Oh, in the European Union, I worked with only Italian law enforcement.
But do you have experience working with UN, by example?
UN?
United Nations?
With the United Nations, no.
No.
No. With the United Nations, no.
Is that an issue for the computer forensic, for the cloud, for you? You can only work in Italy?
No. For example, a lot of requests. Every day I had from Japan, from China, and from other countries. And for example, this morning I received an email from Incident Response Hitachi team because they have a problem with an IP address, and the Japan court says, okay, the only IP address is an evidence for us. No, because in Italy, for example, fortunately, 2 years ago, I made my documentation and my investigation now, and the judge, after my work, says, okay, the EP is not possible, is an evidence, is a way to arrive at the evidence, but it's not an evidence. Okay?
Eso, ya. Muchas gracias.